Hey everyone! So we have this integral here where we're integrating the product of two things. The integral of t squared times sine of t dt. And I don't see an easy substitution that I can do. So a great technique to look at when you're integrating the product of two things is integration by parts, which is basically just a formula. Let me remind you right here. It says the integral of u dv is equal to u times v minus this new integral of v du. So what we're going to do is we have to let something be u, and then the rest is going to be our dv. So what we want to let be u is something that when we take the derivative, we would like the derivative to get, in a sense, better, where the degree with a power decreases. And then, but whatever is left over, we better be able to at least be able to integrate that part. So if we a good choice here, I think, is to let u be t squared. Because then if we let u be t squared, the derivative of u du is just 2t. And that power decreased. Okay? So if u was t squared, then our dv, which we're going to put down kind of diagonal like this, we're going to put dv equal to what's left over. So if u was t squared, then dv is going to be sine of t dt. Okay? So dv is sine of t dt. Okay, and then, well, what is v? Well, if we have our dv, we just integrate, or we go backwards to get our v. So if dv is sine of t, well, then v is actually going to be minus cosine of t. If you check and take the derivative of minus cosine of t, well, the derivative of cosine of t is a minus sine of t, but you have an extra minus sign, so it's minus a minus sine of t, or sine of t. All right, so now we have all of our parts here for our formula, and then we just plug in. We say the integral of u dv, which is what we want here, the integral of t squared times sine of t dt, not dv, that should be a dt, right? That is equal to u times v. So t squared times minus cosine of t. So that's just minus t squared cosine of t, okay? And then minus our new integral. Well, our new integral is, if our original integral was this axis here, and if we set it up this way, the new integral is always going to be the opposite, the other axis. So it's going to be minus the integral of 2t times minus cosine of t. We can pull out the t. You can also pull out the minus sign. It's going to be minus a minus, or plus 2 times the integral of t cosine of t dt. Okay, so now notice that we have this new integral that once again we have the product of two things. But the degree, right? The degree on our t decreased. The power went down from a 2 to a 1 here. So if we just apply integration by parts one more time the exact same way, and then, well, the derivative of t is just going to be 1 dt. So watch this. So we set it up exactly the same as we just did, and we let u originally be t squared, so now u is going to be t. And if u is t, then the derivative of t is just 1 dt, or just dt. And if u was t, then our dv is going to be what's left. It's going to be the cosine of t dt. And if dv equals cosine of t, then you integrate to get your v. So what's the integral of cosine? Well, it's just sine of t. You can always check and take the derivative of sine, and you'll get cosine. All right. So now we knew, okay, this integral, it equaled all this, plus this new integral. So now we're just solving for the new integral. So we still have this stuff out front. So this all equals to minus t squared cosine of t. That's still there. But then plus, we have 2 times this new integral. Well, what is this new integral? This new integral is the integral of u dv. Well, that is equal to u times v. So we have t times sine of t. That is just the that is just u times v. And then minus the new integral. So minus the new integral. And what's the new integral? It's just sine of t dt. Sine of t dt. Okay, and what is this all equal to? We still have, this doesn't change. This part out front is not going to change. So we have a minus t squared cosine t. And then we have plus, well, the 2 is going to distribute to both terms here. So the first term is just t sine of t. So that's plus 2t sine of t, and then 2 times the integral of sine of t. What's the integral of sine of t? We found that in our first step. It was minus cosine of t. So this is minus a minus, right? The integral of sine of t is minus cosine of t. So it's minus a minus cosine of t. So that's plus cosine of t. So it's 2 times cosine of t, or plus 2 cosine of t. And then, of course, this is an indefinite integral, so we add on our plus c. And that's our answer. We could probably clean it up a little bit, not a whole lot. Could factor out a little bit. If we have we have a cosine of t here and a cosine of t here. So I could pull this 2t sine of t out front and say this is equal to 2t sine of t. And then if I factor out the negative sign here too, do a minus, and then we have a t squared minus 2 times cosine of t plus c. And there you can almost see the whole thing. There it is. All right. All right, guys. Be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you guys soon.